Every story has its beginning. To every song, its intro, and to every life, a birth. We don't enter this world just because. To you and me, there has always been a cause. Life is a battleground. Whether you sense it or not, your God-given calling is constantly under attack. Whether it's injustice, prejudice, lack of self-worth, or any distractions. These are designed to keep you away from your purpose. You will often be faced with a conflict that pushes you to give in. But is it worth it? I know for me it wasn't. I grew up in a big family in a small town of Germany called Pirmasens. Growing up, I always knew I was made for the big stage. But honestly, the four walls of the church and getting your name out there aren't really synonymous. And so I just started trying out different things and working my way slowly up there. I took part in drama classes, I practiced vocals, I learned multiple instruments, and everything came fairly easy to me. I felt pretty confident in my skills, but being just good enough in something is not good enough. I was lacking the push, the fuel, something that constantly keeps and drives me forward. And I thought I needed affirmation from people, someone to believe in me, thinking that this is the missing piece. But boy, was I wrong. On this end, I faced major opposition. People would tell me I'm nobody, nothing will work out in my life. And my childhood dream began to fade. I was like, if nobody cares, then why should I? We've all heard that saying, what you believe in is what you will become. When you buy into negativity, you will reap negativity. At one point, I couldn't even open up and share my passions with people I felt close with because I believed no one cared and everybody was against me. Even my closest friends, my relatives, people from my church, my family, it was really hard to figure out who's right and who's wrong. I was basically stuck. My school years have been miserable. I was bullied from a young age, and I faced depression because of that, and I even had suicidal thoughts. So it was a very dark time in my life. And yet, years later, something still continued to draw me. I didn't have the support I wanted, and I struggled with so many things on the inside, but this pull was still stronger. I couldn't yet understand why. Then at the age of 15, I asked my mother if I can audition for German Idol. Whew, boy, was that an experience. She was against it at first, and I would constantly ask her and remind her about it. And then at one point she gave in, and she said, Markus, if this is what you want, go ahead. That was my goal. I was ready to submit my application when something radical happened that would change the course of my entire life. That same year, a man by the name of Shapoval, a worldwide evangelist, came to my small German town. And turns out he's my uncle. I found out that he opened up a ministry in the United States called Flame of Fire. My church at that time hosted a conference where he was the main speaker. I never heard him preach, but during his message, I felt such a strong presence of God that I can't even describe. I heard the Father's voice calling me. My perspective of God shifted that very moment. I began to understand His desires for my life. It clicked. He wasn't after punishing me. He wanted to align my life with His plan and restore me to my true identity. All of a sudden, God became much bigger. It was no longer the God who was somewhere out there. He wasn't limited by my limited thinking. I encountered Him as the limitless, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-present Creator who is in love with His creation. He's the God who's after my heart. And I couldn't stand still. I had to get up. I had to run to the altar. I had to bow my knees down and just cry out, God, I need you. In that moment, I felt like something dark just left my body, and it felt like a scotch tape just got ripped away from me. And things just got crazier from there on out. You see, I was still left with one question. What about my childhood dream? Was that all a waste? And if it was not, where do we stand with this? I love my God. He never leaves a question unanswered. So after that conference, I saw a dream. I saw two stages, one on the left and one on the right. On the left side, there were about 10,000 people. God said, "This is your stage. That's how many people you will influence if we go by your plan and your ambitions." And then I saw what's on the right. Over 10 million people. And I heard him say, "I have made and prepared you to be famous. What you see is the influence you will be able to attain if you will go by my plan. You will be promoted faster than other people and have supernatural understanding from me. But this is ultimately your choice." When I woke up, it was 3 a.m. and I said, "God, I choose you." Ever since then, I had a burning desire in my heart for the nations. I was ready to go change the world, but I was only 15 years old. It seems like, what else do you need? You got the passion, you got the skills, you got the call from God. But the timing just wasn't right. My English wasn't great. Moving out was not an option. I was just 15 years old. And I just didn't have a clear go-ahead from God to move out. So years went by, and every single time my Uncle Andre would visit our city, my passion would be reignited for the nations. I knew for a fact that God planned for me to move to the United States and become a part of Flame of Fire ministry. It wasn't until I turned 19 that I heard the confirmation from God. Another year, another conference. Andre did another altar call. But this time, it wasn't for salvation, but for full surrender to God. I heard the call from God and I ran to the altar where I heard him say to me, "Now go." Today I can say with confidence that I'm walking out God's path for my life. And you know, maybe I'm not yet leading millions of people in worship, nor is my music reaching multitudes. But I'm witnessing how people are getting set free. I'm seeing how God is bringing healing through my singing and playing. I'm seeing how people are getting inspired when they listen to my music and hear me lead worship. And I know that this is the right way. God has talents, gifts, and dreams for each and every person. It's His way of equipping us. But He will never force anyone to live out their calling and purpose. That's why it's called free will. It's your choice. You can choose to walk away. You can choose to drown out the song He's singing over you. Or you can choose to yield to it. And then the song will become an anthem your life will proclaim, an anthem that serves as an answer to the brokenness in this world. When your dream collides with God's divine purpose, your life obtains meaning that is beyond what you can think or imagine. As you pursue Him, you will find that the presence of the One who created it all is the only true unlocking key to fulfillment. You're the captain of your own ship. And yet, only God is able to turn your dream into a calling and your song into a breakthrough. My name is Markus Janzen, and this is my story.
Prepare the way.